This is actually one of the best Mercedes SUVs that they have ever made. There's not really a lot of things that these need, and it's still nice and sporty. It's just a super punchy, strong V6. Just shows you how desirable these are. Hey everyone, and welcome back to DC MotorWerks. My name is Cameron. If it's your first time tuning in with us, we really appreciate you watching. But today we have brought you a 2013 Mercedes-Benz GLK350. And I know if you've watched our channel, you may think that this is a little strange for us, but this is actually one of the best Mercedes SUVs that they have ever made. So they made these from 2010 to 2015, and this is a facelift model, being a 2013. But this one is extra special because a lot of them just came with kind of the simple, just premium one, or just a couple of little options from the base model. But someone ticked all the good boxes on this one, mainly being the lighting package, which is very elusive on these, as well as the AMG styling package. Mercedes actually never did make a AMG GLK, but they still offered the styling package, which came with the twin spoke 18-inch wheels, some different bumpers, and you also got these nice styled kind of running boards. They're not very useful, but they do look good. And this one is in a great color combination as well, which we'll get to in a moment on the interior, because this one is also equipped with the interior package, or leather package, which comes with full leather, whereas most of these came with MB Techs, and those tend to fail pretty easily on the lower seat cushions. But again, we'll get to that in a moment when we get inside. But come around the side here, you can just see how nice a shape this one is. It has spent its life in the South, actually out west, but so no rust to worry about on this one. If you're familiar that the rear subframes on a lot of Mercedes models of this time period can be an issue, and while there is a warranty extension, it is nice to know that this one is nothing to worry about. And this one's just at 95,000 miles, but still in great shape, especially considering these were just kind of normal commuter cars. We love them a lot because as they've aged, they're super simple. They are a great compact design and easy to maneuver because of their sizing. And you still get the SUV package, which is what everyone wants these days. Coming around the back, I mean, everything along the side looks good here. Someone had a little bit of a bump here on the rear bumper, but nothing too crazy. And this one is also equipped with the factory hitch, which is super uncommon. And it is just the small hitch there, so it's really just meant for you know, a very small trailer or a like a bicycle rack or something like that. Go ahead and have a look at the rear here. Of course, this one being well optioned does have the power hatch and keyless go as well. So you can have just the key in your pocket. But someone went even above and beyond and had the extra factory mat here, whereas most of them, you just have the rear trunk carpet. That is nice if you're gonna have a bunch back here, and you got the space saver spare in there that collapses on itself. But at least you get a spare, because a lot of modern Mercedes, you don't get a spare at all. You just get run flat tires. And sometimes you get standard tires and nothing at all. You just get a can of Fix-A-Flat. But everything else really is in great shape, especially considering, like I said, it is just a kind of a normal commuter car at this age. But we like to sell a lot of these because of, again, that simplicity, and you still get all that good Mercedes-ness. And here you can see just a sneak peek at some of that leather package here. They come with the extra styled door panels in this really nice piped and thick leather. You can just feel the difference immediately as soon as you touch it compared to an MB Techs car. It has that nice contrast piping. They offered this in a couple different colors. This one is the black. They also made a dark brown. But again, we're gonna talk more about that as we're driving along. But before we do that, let's go ahead and get a start up and look at this engine. So this we've talked about in a bunch of our videos, but we'll go back over it again, is the M276 engine. So these came out about the 2011 model year in most cars, some 2012, 2013. But this was the first foray into direct injection for Mercedes-Benz, and actually a departure from their 90-degree V6, because this is a 60-degree V6, which gets rid of the balance shaft, which was an issue on the early 272 previous generation engines. But these are great, about 302 horsepower, lots of torque. You know, they love to rev. We like them a lot here at DC. And they're pretty simple. There's not really a lot of things that these need. Front covers like to leak oil, but really no other big issues. I know if for a while, a couple of years ago during COVID, if you got the wrong ignition coils or cheap ignition coils, they could, when you unlock the car, it would energize the coils and it would backfire through the intake and explode the intake. But that was just for the cheap aftermarket ones when the factory ones were hard to get, whereas now they're not, so we always use the original ones if they need. Other than that, there's not really much to write home about these. It is a 4MATIC model, so this is the all-wheel drive, which the only real Achilles heel, if you've watched our video on that, is the front drive shaft. But of course, we've inspected this one and it is in great shape. But let's go ahead, start it up, and then we'll go for a drive. So come on in, jump in, we'll go for a ride, and y'all can enjoy the nice full leather seats of this GLK. So before we take off, we'll show you the panoramic roof here. On the GLKs, this was the only option if you wanted any type of sunroof. There was no standard roof. You either got panoramic or you got nothing, which I love a pano roof, and these are actually very reliable, whereas some of the later panoramic roofs were notoriously troublesome. You can see it has synchronized shades there. And it does provide a nice airy experience, especially in the darker interior colored cars. Everything works there, nice and quiet. It is one-touch operation, whereas some of the earlier pano roofs on some of like the 211E classes and so forth, the close portion was not automated, which is kind of different there. There's a good bit of glare on this nice sunny southern day, so we're going to keep that closed. One other thing we can showcase you is with this one being a tow package, does offer you a function on the rear view camera for hooking up a trailer hitch, which is super cool. One of the nice things I like about factory tow packages is that they integrate things like that, as well as the Mercedes ones, while not having a tow mode button. When you hook up to the trailer lighting and so forth, it will actually recognize that and adapt all of those things to do that. And again, just to get into why we like these here so much at DC MotorWerks is because of their simplicity and their packaging. So, you know, everything's nice and easy to reach. Ergonomics are great. The seating position is just what you want, especially as SUVs have become so popular in the past few years. And that is a big frustration for me driving cars, is that you can't see around all of the blobby SUVs in traffic. So this gives you that seating position while being based on the 204 chassis C-Class of this generation, which in itself was a wonderful car and still is. And this just improves on that by giving you that extra usability of being an SUV for cargo, and as well as what everyone wants now in the seating position. And it's still nice and sporty because it is based on that C-Class chassis, which we really appreciate here at DC, because with the ML or GLE and GLS of this generation, did not give you as much of a driving experience as this does. Kind of gives you that enthusiast choice that we always talk about with a lot of cars here, is that you don't sacrifice as much while getting what you want out of an SUV, especially if you're a one-car household. And that, coupled with the facelift GLKs, they really made some big changes with the facelift, and as far as the interior, was really a big step in quality. And whereas the early ones, kind of just that simple, you know, early rendition of the 204, and the interior materials were just not as nice as this. Whereas here you get the big piece of wood and just the updated command and everything. And of course you also get the electronic shifter, whereas the other one was in the console, so freed up some space there as well. So facelift GLKs are our favorite, while the early ones are also great. They also moved the seat controls up here, so this really perfected this chassis. And then in 2016 they went to the GLC chassis, which I always thought this was better looking, and it also is better built and better driving, as those were mostly 4 cylinders, and in the time period where things were starting to get kind of cheapened out in the Mercedes lineup. Punch it in here and you can feel almost 7,000 RPM redline. It's just a super punchy, strong V6. I know coming out of some of these, when I first drove these, I really thought the performance was pretty impressive. And here you can see on the cluster, we've got our lane keeping assist, blind spot assist. So this has all of the driver assistance options minus the Distronic adaptive cruise control, which is exceedingly rare on the GLK chassis. So hopefully we'll find one of those one day. It is super exciting to see ones that are very well optioned like this, because we usually try to keep a couple around. We sell a lot to our clients for their kids' first vehicles, because you get that safety and all the technology of a Mercedes-Benz while not spending a lot of money as well. It is funny, speaking of money, is relative to their stablemates of the GLK, the ML and the GL, these will actually hold a better value relative to their original cost compared to those, and it just shows you how desirable these are. And again, that owes back to that simplicity I was talking about earlier. These don't have any adaptive suspension, no air suspension, or any of the features that a lot of people like that as they age can be expensive and troublesome. These just don't have that. And here you can see we're on this nice little back road, and you can still hustle it around quite nicely. Hopefully I don't toss cameraman around too much throughout the car. So here we're on a nice straight road, so we'll give you a acceleration run from a stop. We have it in sport mode, and there you can see it does have its eco stop start, which is this here. You can turn that off if you'd like, but go ahead and let the engine start up, and we'll go for a little run. Just like that, we're up to 60 miles an hour. Like I said, these are 302 horse, so they are quite strong, especially in they're really torquey, and it just has power throughout the whole rev range, really. And I think these were rated at just at 6 seconds or so. With the all-wheel drive, just a couple ticks slower than a two-wheel drive one. Those feel extra strong, but really is great performance out of a small SUV here that you can embarrass some little sports sedans, if that is something you're into. And they also are pretty efficient, getting low mid 20 miles to the gallon on the freeway, which in high teens around town, which is about standard for the industry. And one other thing we'll note here while we're at a red light is really these hold up very well. This one's 95,000 miles and about 12 years old, and like I said, these were, when they were new, just meant to be just kind of normal used cars. And they still hold up great. Buttons are kind of a thing. You can see here the common use buttons have a little bit of wear, which is pretty standard, but there are easy options to fix that. But really, that's kind of the main complaints in here. Like I said, the MB Tech seat covers tend to wear, but these leather ones, I have yet to see really any kind of wear on these, and you can tell just the thickness and heftiness of them, of how much higher quality they are, which is nice to see because you did pay extra to get that. If you're in a hotter climate like us here in the South, the HVAC systems in the GLKs are very strong. They put out a lot of air volume, which is important here in the South, but also it does get pretty cold, which modern cars in the last 10 years or so, the air conditioning output has really dwindled. I don't know why that is. I know they have changed the Freon type from R134 to 1234YF, which Mercedes has not really adopted except in like the last maybe year in some of the models, which is good because it has retained the air quality. But just something to make note of there if you're in a hot climate, that you do get great HVAC output. So there we are, the 2013 GLK350, super well optioned like this one. Like I said, we think this is the best SUV that Mercedes has ever made. Just such a great package, whether you're looking for a first car, an only car for yourself that's already depreciated, and while you still get all of the nice Mercedes-Benz stuff. Like I said, we keep a lot of these in stock. We love having these here, and hope you guys enjoyed this as much as we do. And this one is currently live on BringATrailer if you're watching this video early enough. So remember, bid early, bid often. And if you want to see more from us here at DC MotorWerks, like, subscribe, hit that bell icon to make sure you don't miss any of the exciting stuff we have here at DC, and we'll see you on the next video.